Before the lunch break, we talked about trying to connect FMCG brands with consumers in challenging markets like the Philippines. We're going to continue along that vein now, but as I mentioned before the lunch break, drill down a little bit more into mobile and how to connect with consumers in markets like the Philippines using the mobile phone. Now, in 2014, finally we seem to have seen a number of advertisers finally make the leap into mobile. And of course, the question that's still on many people's lips is, we all know that everybody has a mobile, in most markets at least. We know that in some of the emerging markets, it's the feature phones that are still more dominant than the smartphones. And while obviously we've all gotten used to advertising on the internet over the last 15, 20 years, mobile is still the next thing that people really want to get their hands on. And that's where our next two guests are coming in. In a few moments, we'll hear from Margot Torres, who's VP Marketing at McDonald's Philippines. But to kick off the conversation, please make welcome the head of Mobext, Mr. Arthur Policarpio.
Thank you. Cheers. Good afternoon. So our topic today is how to build a sustainable mobile business from two perspectives. First perspective is from an agency. Second perspective is from client. So I'll start off with the agency perspective. So the learnings we will share with you are all about how to build a mobile business. So this is not just a talk about media. It's not just a talk about marketing. It's about building a business using mobile. So first perspective, first sharing is that to grow mobile, to build a sustainable mobile business, us agencies should also think more like startups and a little bit less like agencies. I want to share this slide, which is a pretty shocking slide for an agency guy like me. And the point here is that moving forward, the growth in agency valuations, if you're the CEO of an agency, will come from mobile businesses. Uber, with 600 employees, has a $41 billion valuation. Snapchat, 100 employees, $19 billion valuation. And if you look at the two biggest, or just some of the biggest holding companies on media across the world, the valuations of Uber alone is bigger than these three combined. It's that big. And the point here is that moving forward, we should start thinking more as a business than less and less and less as just a media channel. And there's a lot of things that we can learn from startups. And the first learning here is all about test, learn, and scale. So if you're in the traditional agency world, we're used to polished campaigns. You polish a TVC to perfection, launch it, it's flawless. But for mobile, it's all about experimentation. It's all about testing, learning, growing it from a small base. So nail it first before you scale it is very crucial when it comes to mobile. Does anybody know what this is? This used to be Facebook when it started. It's completely different from the Facebook we know of today. So Facebook started as a who's hot and who's not platform for college students. And along the way, they iterated, they experimented, they scaled it, they tested it constantly. And now it is what it is because of all of those constant experimentations, which is key to growing mobile. Second thing we can learn from startups is speed. Instead of waiting 6 months to launch a product, launch it quickly. For startups, it's a matter of survival. If you don't launch quickly, you lose money. It's that simple. And there's a concept called a minimum viable product in startups, or an MVP. So again, from a mobile perspective, instead of thinking of it as launching a perfect product, the perfect app, 0 bugs in 1 year, think of it as a series of iterations. Launch first with an MVP, minimum viable product, because the perfect app doesn't exist. You'll have to launch it, learn from the market, and iterate along the way. And one case, one of my favorite cases, is an app called Yo. Initially, it's a crazy idea. All this app does is it allows you to say yo. That's it. And the insight here was that the founder was so lazy texting people. Why do I have to say, I'm coming home, I'm almost home, I'm 15 minutes away? Why can't I build an app where I just need to say one word? I push a button, yo. So initially, this app was rejected by App Store. They said, that's a crazy idea. But he was persistent. It's a minimum viable product. And he developed it in 8 hours, just 8 hours. Single idea, simple idea. All right? 2.5 million registered users. So if you're a brand owner, who here has 2.5 million users in their platform, right? So just a few, but again, this was developed in just 8 hours, a single word. $10 million valuation for 8 hours of work. And the question I always ask myself as an agency person is that, why can't these disruptive new platforms, new businesses, be built by agencies like ours? Why does it have to be a startup? We have all the talent, all the resources, all the skills. Why can't we build the next generation mobile businesses? Second point is all about thinking business and not awards. I know there's an award ceremony coming up tomorrow, but this is not to say that awards are not important. The point here is that it's important for us to approach mobile from the perspective of growing the client's business first, and the awards will come if that perspective comes. And we have to ask ourselves the question, what keeps CEOs awake at night? It's not winning an award if you think about it. It's all about the bottom line, sales, reducing costs, etc. So mobile, yes, it is the most powerful form of media ever invented, but we have to stop thinking of it as just a media channel. It is, for me, a business transformation platform that can change the way you do business across everything: marketing, commerce, customer service, research, product development, business models. This is what mobile is all about. And this is how we build a sustainable mobile business. It takes a change in mindset. Third is all about creating products and not just campaigns. Sometimes as agency people, we get stuck with the 3-month campaign. How do we integrate mobile as an add-on to a 3-month campaign? But to build real value long-term, we have to start thinking more in terms of products, long-term products that create value to customers and brands. Will this product exist 10 years from now? I think that's a key question when we ideate when it comes to mobile. And how about treating advertisers as VCs, venture capitalists? Show them how they'll earn from the product, let them co-create and co-own it, make them earn from it as well, and have a long-term plan. Finally, last point here is that it's very important to grow mobile in a developing market, for example, like the Philippines. It's important to work with visionary clients. So visionary clients are really needed to grow mobile at this stage. Because there's no book on mobile, unlike traditional media. There is no manual on mobile. We have to build it. In most cases, we have to experiment with it. If you're from the startup entrepreneurial world, most of you are aware of a concept called the technology adoption curve by Jeffrey Moore. And the theory here is that any new technology that hits the market, it follows this path. And what really drives technology adoption is the visionaries. They are the ones who move forward, who innovate, who take risks, and who move forward the industry. And it's very important, at least in the initial stages, to identify a good visionary client who will be willing to take risks, jump without any learnings, and experiment with mobile. And just as a final note before I pass it over to Margot, this guy said, he's the epitome of this. Progress happens because of the crazy ones who are willing to take a risk and reinvent the game. So it's important to take risks in mobile, experiment as we move along, and grow it from our learnings, from failures as well. And with that, I pass it over to probably the most visionary client I've worked with in the Philippines, at least in mobile, Margot Torres from McDonald's.
Thanks, Art. I'm not sure if he really wanted to call me visionary or crazy, but thanks anyway. Okay, let me begin first with our journey in digital, not mobile first. We crafted the vision in 2011, and we crafted this to be able to tell the entire organization that, hey, digital is not just about marketing. It's not a marketing tool. It's really a business imperative if we want to grow our business and connect with consumers as well as our employees. Then we got obsessed with social, like everybody does. And that was in 2011. By 2012, we had a very rude awakening. We realized, oh dear, most of our paid media considers desktop as a primary channel. It did not even look at mobile. Even if there are 114 mobile phone users in the Philippines, 40% of which are smartphones. And then, another rude awakening was, if you go to our delivery site, our site wasn't optimized for mobile. So by 2012, we incorporated mobile as a key strategy of the business, not of marketing, not just the campaign, but of the business. We started with mobile coupons, and this was in 2013. Here, it wasn't perfect, but we wanted to get our feet wet. In fact, it was really clunky, but we said we might as well venture into something and start with something. Then we finally optimized our delivery site for mobile. And then recently, which was just last year, we introduced an app specifically for delivery. I wanted to summarize our learnings based on these 5 principles, and I'll go through each one. First is relevance. I think it's the most important currency today. It sounds motherhood, but really it's about the customer. If they change, we have to adapt. My personal greatest fear is to become a dinosaur, be extinct. And if that is an underlying motivation, it will always keep you on your toes. Art already mentioned a mobile-first mindset. So I wanted to refer to my friend from Google. His name is Jacob Zachariah. He defined mobile first in this way. He said, especially for the Philippines, mobile first means that the person's first interaction with the internet is going to be through mobile. My definition is different. The first device you reach for in the morning is mobile, and that's why it's mobile first. But that actually means a lot. It means that that's the first point of contact they have. And what I learned from Steve Kalifowitz of Twitter is that the person unlocks their phone 100 times a day. So imagine all the opportunity you have 24/7 just reaching the customer through their mobile phone. There was a study also of the CMO Council made by SAS in 2014. And surprisingly, 31% still have no mobile strategy among chief marketing officers who were surveyed. And some have campaigns, but still no strategy. There were only 17% who had a fully integrated mobile strategy, and therefore 45% of those actually believe in a mobile-first mindset. I think that's important to everyone in the room because a lot of education still has to be done among marketers. It is truly a marketer's best tool if they finally realize mobile in the Philippines, according to another friend of mine from Facebook, her name is Farah Zubir, that 18 million Filipinos access their Facebook account daily, and 15 of the 18 million access through mobile. So location is key, as you know, for McDonald's. It's key because the role of mobile becomes important because before they reach the store, as they approach the store, when they place their order, and when they leave, mobile is with our customer. It enables marketers to follow the entire customer's journey, collect information, gather insights, and build a relationship with the customer. So you have sales, personalized engagement, loyalty, data, and insights. What else can you ask for? Commitment to learn. Don't be afraid to test and learn. I think it's important in our experience that we build proof of concept. I think, of course, the most important person in the organization you need to convince is your CEO. And first, we experimented with social, and we showed him that we may not necessarily always depend on television as the primary medium, and we were able to succeed. At that point, he went to the other extreme and said, move all your TV advertising to social. Okay, but we knew better. But that at least opened his mind. And then, later on, we showed him that our coupons in mobile costed 10% of the cost of paper coupons. And then when we set up the mobile-optimized McDelivery site, in the first month, it generated sales enough, an equivalent of one physical store. And finally, in the app, we're seeing promising results. So you may not need to do everything. You can choose a segment of the business, a segment of your customer, a geographical area of the country you work in. But start somewhere and build the learnings before competition gets ahead of you, or worse, your consumer gets ahead of you. And finally, engage with fellow believers. If the person existed who had marketing and business strategic knowledge, creative flair, and a knowledge of IT, hire them. But I don't think this person exists yet. And therefore, you have to gather the people together. I mean, even in a coup d'etat, when you want a successful coup d'etat, you don't want to fail. You have to have the right factions in them. And that's exactly what we did. And because of the small wins, with this group we have in McDonald's Philippines, we've been successful in making my boss, our CEO, a believer in mobile. So good luck to all of you. I hope you'll be able to convert, whether your clients or your bosses, to be mobile believers as well and to have that mobile-first mindset. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Lopez, Margot Torres. She said that joke first. Were you really reading all of your notes off your iPhone?
Some.
Most of them?
The figures.
Well, that's impressive. She lives and breathes mobile. Thank you very much. Margot Torres, everybody, from McDonald's Philippines. And before her, we heard from Mobext's head Arthur Policarpio.